Mr. Happy Living here. I love entrepreneurs and athletes and creatives and pig farmers and people from every walk of life that have discovered their reason for being on this planet. And that's why I love John Arbuckle. He's the founding farmer of Singing Prairie Farms in Newcastle, Maine. He specializes in producing the very best outputs, including the country's only 100% non-GMO, pasture-raised pork snack sticks and salamis, by using the very best inputs, high-quality feedstuffs such as apples and acorns and pears and alfalfa and grass-fed dairy products, rather than cereal grains. That makes sense. To get the best output, you got to put the best in. So John, we've been trying for 2 years to get you on the Something Significant show, and now we're broadcasting from WITV7 in beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. Finally, I can say welcome to the show.
Hooray! Here we are together. So happy.
Awesome. All right, tell us what you're doing these days to leave your mark of significance on the world.
Well, regenerative agriculture is a really big thing. And while people have been practicing very positive, earth-friendly agriculture for hundreds and hundreds of years in America, there's a scientific approach that involves the use of tractors and large tracts of land that is a little bit new. And we are trying to usher the humble pig into the world of regenerative agriculture, where typically the first creatures to get ushered into regenerative agriculture have been grass-fed beef cows, grass-fed dairy cows, sheep, things that can live exclusively on grass. A pig is not a creature that can live exclusively on grass. They have a single stomach, as opposed to having four like a sheep or a cow. And as a result, we do give a little bit of non-GMO grain to the animals, but we manage their movement around our farm, around our ranch in such a way so as to sequester as much carbon as we can. And as a result of that, the entire world around us changes, all the way down to the invisible happenings beneath our feet in the soil, all the way up to we're going to see more porcupines this year. We already have huge bird populations that weren't here 3 years ago. And what do we put out into the world? We put healthy pork. It's the most nutrient-dense pork that's ever been tested by the laboratories that we send it to. And that's the byproduct of our method of farming.
That's awesome. I got to get up and see that farm one of these days.
Mm-hmm.
So let's journey back in time a little bit. What were you doing, let's say, back in the year 2000?
In the year 2000, my wife and I moved to our very first farm, which we owned ourselves, in Missouri. I had been an intern on maybe 24 farms. I had raised everybody else's chickens. I had raised everybody else's pigs. I weeded everybody else's garden. And I felt like my education had come to a point where the way to grow was to set out on my own, to own my own farm. So in 2010, we began our very first experiments in what I would call regenerative agriculture. And it was an incredible journey.
That's awesome. Was there what were the years when there was some whitewater rafting going on?
There was a great many years. So I grew up on a small family farm in central Illinois. We had a subscription to National Geographic magazine, and I was in between driving John Deere tractors up and down over endless cornfields. I would get off and I'd look at National Geographic magazine and see people climbing mountains covered with snow and rafting beautiful rivers. And I thought, I'd like to do a little bit of that. So when I graduated from high school, I went and got a summer job in Colorado on the Arkansas River. And that really started it. There was 5 or 6 years of just guiding in the summer. And then, I don't know if you've seen the movie The Endless Summer. It's a 1950s surf movie. No. Quite dated. But for maybe 6 or 7 years, I kind of did my own endless summer. It would go all around the world multiple times, always traveling to where it was summer, and always being with people who were on vacation in beautiful places. And that 12, 15 years, whatever it was, of guiding river trips really, especially because it happened as my early adulthood, it really shaped my brain chemistry to be looking for celebration, looking to share wonderfulness with people. And I'm really glad I had that experience.
Something amazing being out on the river, deep, deep in it, isn't there?
Oh yeah, nothing better.
So let's talk about my unique definition of significance, being the Something Significant show. And it contains 4 things: doing things you love, in places you love, with people you love, and creating something of value to others. So it's doing and it's giving. But to be a giver, you need excess capacity in your life. So what are your personal practices, physical, mental, spiritual, financial, emotional? What are the things you do to increase your capacity so you can take good care of yourself, but still have more to give to others?
That's the question that makes everything else possible. You know, if you know what your calling is, then the next thing to manage for is your inner resiliency. And with those 2 things put together, a person is quite nearly invincible. So the first thing that I add to that is that self-care, regenerating our own spirits, regenerating our own selves and hearts and souls is a discipline, because the modern world will quite literally create such a source of inertia, dragging us down this endless shopping list, this endless to-do list. And everyone who does not have a practice of putting themselves on the list, that's when we see, that's almost a form of erosion. We're just losing resiliency just by doing nothing but accomplishing our endless to-do list. And we have to reject that. We have to reject the idea that our heart is not on the to-do list. So that's the first thought, is that it requires discipline, because our tendency as entrepreneurs, as creative people, as get things done kind of people, is going to be excessively what we might describe as yang, excessively geared towards action and accomplishment, which is only good when balanced with self-care. So long as we're acknowledging that it's a discipline, and we may have to take care of ourselves when we actually feel like we would be more comfortable getting back on our to-do list. That's the foundation of self-care in my world. Beyond that, I'm a firm believer that playfulness is the fountain of youth, is the elixir of life. And playfulness can be defined as a lot of things, but Brené Brown, I don't know if you're familiar with Brené Brown. She has some really great books where she talks about playfulness. She defines playfulness. She has a lot of great information on how it doesn't take 100 hours a week of playfulness. If you get I don't know what the numbers would be. If you just get a small amount of playfulness in every day, and that can be quiet time, that can be a spiritual practice, that can be reading, be walking, it can be doing anything, so long as your heart is the center of that activity, and however the individual recharges.
Yep.
I think that's extremely important. I compare self-care and regenerating our spirits to it's the rudder of the boat. You know, if you took the rudder off the boat and weighed it, it wouldn't weigh very much relative to the boat. But, you know, where's the boat going without the rudder?
Give us three activities that you do that help you build your capacity and restore yourself.
So my day starts out with prayer practice. It doesn't have to be very long, 5, 10, 15 minutes, sitting in silence and sharing my feelings with the divine. I feel like that helps me a lot to be centered and to bring all the things that are going to make me successful into the day. You know, integrity, listening, a lot of good stuff. It's going to be a reminder there. And we all need lots of reminders. So that's my first ingredient. The second ingredient is I really genuinely love just what I'm doing. I spend my day in my home with my wife. I love my wife. We work together very well. We move animals together. We make business decisions. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And lastly, most specifically, you mentioned a little bit of whitewater stuff before. If one good thing came from our quarantine, the state of Maine quarantined for, I forget how long, but a kind of a long time. During that time, we had extra time, and it was springtime, and all the creeks were running, and my family and I went and just started getting in our boats. We have our own whitewater raft. We have stand-up paddle boards. We have kayaks, and I think at last count, we were up to 62 days on the water this season.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So 62 days in a year is about what I need.
That's good stuff. And see, I'm thinking, okay, well, what do you do? Are you jogging? Are you hiking? But see, I sit behind a computer and write and think. So I have to create activity to keep myself fit. You just live it on your farm.
I'm a little bit like you too, though. I spend a lot of time on sales in front of my computer and a lot of time moving electric fences for my pigs.
There you go. All right, John, we're going to take a commercial break to tell everyone about 3 things. Number 1, why I love all natural, toxic-free dry farm wines, how to get an extra bottle for a penny on their first subscription order, and how their purchase will support a big donation to WITV7. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love dry farm wines. I first met the man known as the healthiest wino on the planet back in 2016. He said his wines don't cause headaches or hangovers, and that he started his company because most wine consumed in the U.S. is highly processed and loaded with unnatural nasties. Like most processed food, it's toxic. That very night, I made a big health decision. Toxic wines out, natural wines in. It's been 4 years since I made the switch, and I feel great. Go to happyliving.com and select Partners in Happy to get your first bottle of natural wine for a penny. And I'll donate 8% of every order placed during the entire month of November to WITV7. Share the gift of natural wine and pour some love this holiday season. Okay, we're back. This is the Something Significant show, and I'm Matt Gersper. Hey friends, do yourself a big health favor. If you drink wine like I do, make the switch to wines that are so clean and natural they don't cause headaches or hangovers. Seriously, I switched 4 years ago and I'll never go back. But I am happy to be back with my guest, John Arbuckle. He believes it takes a healthy planet to create healthy food. That's why his farm, Singing Pastures, only raises animals in grassy fields using regenerative agriculture to heal the land. So John, in my second book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I explore the idea that big transformations and discovery of purpose often come from devastation. Terrible illness, sudden death, some big crisis shakes your life. But I've used a happier way and created transformations in my life with inspiration. So was there a specific moment or a situation when either devastation or inspiration revealed to you the purpose that you were meant to live?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The story is very long, but the short version of the story is that to be honest, I had a couple of extremely vivid dreams. And in the dreams, I felt called to go be of service to Native people. What ended up happening was that I started.
What year? What year was this?
What year was this? This would have been in 2003, maybe.
Okay.
Sometime around there. And so what I did was I created a small entity called Family Gardens of the White Mountain Apache. And this is in East Central Arizona on the White Mountain Apache Reservation. And with the blessing of the Department of Cultural Preservation in White River, Arizona, I would order large quantities of old-time traditional vegetable seeds, and I would also get trees, orchard trees. And so the Department of Cultural Preservation was the lead entity, and I was merely their assistant. But I wanted to bring resources that may not have been there already. And with the Department of Cultural Preservation leading and me as their helper, we were just able to help people plant a lot of gardens. And this went on for 6 years. Yeah, we might have to time that.
So let me ask you, you said a couple of dreams.
Yeah.
Right? And these dreams, what were you doing at that time? You were farming, right? With you and your wife?
I was working as a rafting guide on the Salt River.
Okay. And so you have these dreams, and then so that definitely is it's not devastation, that's definitely inspiration.
Absolutely.
What was it about those dreams, though, that compelled you to act on them? Because so often I'll see people, they'll have, they'll feel it, they'll know something's, but there's the tendency to push it away because it's crazy. What the hell are you going to be doing, following this crazy dream?
It was quite scary, because it has a certain element of what the modern world might call unreality to it.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I feel empowered to pursue what is important to me. And as a result of feeling empowered to pursue those things, it's just led to a much more colorful life. Yeah.
100%. So that takes us to the next section. We've talked about capacity, and you said it exactly right. You have to have it to pursue your purpose, to drive your purpose. We talked about purpose, discovering why you're here. And when you combine those two elements, the sky's the limit. And you said, it leads to this awesome life. And I like to say capacity plus purpose equals happy. That's what I call the happy formula. But I believe the real magic of life comes from the fourth element of significance. So tell us, how has doing work that creates value to others brought joy and magic into your life? Talk about that.
When, I don't know if you're familiar with an author named Joseph Campbell.
No.
Okay. Joseph Campbell has a book called A Hero with a Thousand Faces, where he talks about something called the hero's journey or the hero's quest. And there are a great many elements of that. But one of the foundations of it is that when you embark upon the hero's journey, if you want to call it that, when you embark on that, you essentially lose control of the entirety of the outcome. You're essentially realizing that you want to jump in the river, but you're not exactly sure where the river is taking you, whether it be happiness, sadness, consequence, danger. It doesn't always lead immediately to green pastures, right? So in realizing that you don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be, what that does is that allows an element of magic, the space to enter, right? When you step away from saying, I'm reliant exclusively on my own intelligence, on my own endurance, on my own visionary planning. If you're reliant on those as an individual or even as a couple of people, then what you're lacking is what the universe has to offer. So that's part of the hero's journey, is jumping in the river and allowing the divine the opportunity to have a space at the table.
You're giving me goosebumps. That's exactly right. In my book, I call that the power of the universe. Mm-hmm. When you finally listen to your heart and you take that step and you go on this journey that you're not sure where it's taking you, then the power of the universe steps in and serendipity steps in and magic happens. Things happen that you never could have imagined. And you mentioned it's not always green pastures. I'll make one comment about that. In my experience, I've never, ever, ever got where I thought I was going. Mm-hmm. But it's always been something, a twist of spectacular. And some of it tough and rough, but then leading to something spectacular. So talk about that in your perspective, the unknown outcomes that come from that journey.
So I think where my brain spends most of its time is with the word regenerative. What does it mean to build something up? It's more than sustainable. Sustainable is what you do if you're happy with status quo. You're able to maintain. If you actually want to make something better, you have to grow something, heal something. That's when it needs to be regenerative. So in the world of regenerative, it goes a couple of different directions. It can be ecosystem function on a farm, or it can be the magic between people in a community. Mm-hmm. And once you've begun the regenerative practice of healing anything, a friendship relationship, a cow pasture, a grove of trees, anything, if you allow the magic, just the opportunity to jump in and do whatever it's going to do, then something unexpected will happen. And if it is regenerative, most of the time it ends up being neat, interesting. Maybe it's life-changing. Maybe it's just fun. Yeah. Maybe it's not actually rainbows and unicorns. Maybe it's just a positive day. But a long chain of positive days is kind of what I'm all about for rainbows and unicorns, right? So I would just offer one small example. And this is a small, perhaps not super important example. But when we first moved to our farm, where we're on right now in coastal Maine, Maine has lots of beautiful rocky coastline. It's got lots of pine trees, but it does not have huge expanses of grasslands. So when we got to our farm, it's almost 200 acres. Most of it is in grass, which I'm really excited about because I am a grass farmer. It had very few ground nesting grassland birds. And in simply 2 years or 3 years of holistic management, regenerative management, the songbird, the ground nesting bird, the grassland birds, all of these populations of wildlife exploded. Amazing. And we didn't know that was going to happen, but it is really, really fun to know that our farm, when I look out the window, is literally a sanctuary. It's a sanctuary for all of these grassland loving species that for whatever we're doing, it still just looks like grass, right? It's not like something big and obvious change to the human eye, but in whatever the physiological, whatever the ecological systems are at play, something invisible changed, and everybody got the memo. All the birds and all the turkeys and all the, animals, the foxes, the coyotes, we love all of them. I saw a snapping turtle this morning, which has to be kind of rare in Maine in October. And the really neat thing is that little lightning bolt of awesomeness didn't take 500 years to create, right? When I was in school, our teachers would tell us that it took 1,000 years to build an inch of soil. And using regenerative agriculture, that's not true in my ecosystem. I don't know how fast we build an inch of soil, but it's pretty fast. We don't need 500 years to get something done. If you put 2 or 3 years, really focus on quality, you can get a lot done. You can get a lot done in 10 years and be very satisfied when you see the results.
Very, very cool. All right, we got to wrap things up here, John, with a lightning round. So I'm going to read one of my very favorite quotes to you and give us quick responses, 10 or 15 second responses if you can, so we can get a couple of these in. From Heraclitus, I screwed the name up, but here's the quote, you'll know it. No man ever steps into the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man. Meaning, what does that mean to you?
What does that mean? So everybody that we always meet had a very different morning than they had the morning before. And when we rub elbows with them and we talk to them, we just have to bring kindness every single time. We bring kindness to those meetings every single time. Then that's where we allow regeneration to be more than a buzzword. It's going to be a buzzword. I can't stop it from being a buzzword. It's inevitable. It's going to be a buzzword. But that doesn't mean that there are going to be practitioners who are making it happen, who are actually making the magic happen. And so that's what it means to me. Can't step in the same river twice. Whenever you talk to a person, they will have had different experiences immediately leading up to when you talk to them that you won't know about. And the only way you can make that a regenerative moment is to always bring that kindness in your suitcase.
Yeah. Okay. From Lao Tzu, if I keep from imposing on people, they become themselves.
Yeah. Everybody has their own individual genius. And the way to allow that individual genius to be expressed is to not hover, not hover over them and not micromanage. But if we let people express their own individual genius, then something good happens.
When I read that just a couple of days ago, I thought of you, because if we keep from imposing on the earth becomes itself.
Yeah,
right?
Very true. Very true. Very true. A lot of our business model is to surrender to our watershed. Yeah. You know, when we look out the window and say, what can this give us with not only the least harm, but with the greatest good? You know, then I kind of have to let all of my goals, you know, maybe not go completely to the back burner, but at least move to the side burner so there's space for somebody else to be in the dialogue.
Right on. All right, John, this has been great, but sadly our time's coming to an end. So just take a minute or two and share any parting remarks or comments that you'd like to leave with our audience.
If people are excited about supporting local agriculture, the very best thing to do is just go to your own farmers markets. If there are farmers markets where people offer, you know, pasture-raised livestock, that's what I'm the most excited about. I encourage that to everyone. If you're looking for some really delicious regenerative salami or gourmet snack sticks, my family farm is called singingpastures.com. And really, it's more than just my family farm. When we grow to a certain point, we'll be inviting more farmers into our network. So it'll be lots of farms. We hope to disseminate information and regenerative practices across the whole country. And I suppose my parting thought really is, and this is what sums up, you know, every day for me, is you don't know what's possible. You don't know what's realistic. If you move forward thinking that you know what's possible and what's realistic, that's going to be an enormous anchor. I'm not saying to throw caution to the wind and to be reckless, but just the thought that you don't actually know what's possible. If we took all of the amazing things that are commonly happening in the world, the probability of them happening would be as close to zero as it could be without actually being zero. If Albert Einstein, you know, or any of the great inventors thought, what's the probability of me actually succeeding in creating a light bulb? It'd be really low, but you can't let that slow you down. So that's my parting thought, is you don't actually know what's realistic. And, you know, with caution and thought in your heart, I kind of dare you all to try to find out. I love it. Okay, and now, folks, it's your turn. If you can hear my voice and you were inspired by today's show with 9th generation farmer John Arbuckle, please donate what you can to WITV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good work with your kindness. John, I just love that you're running and innovating a 9th generation family business. And I'm inspired by your dedication to learning and practicing and leading the regenerative agriculture movement as a means to create and maintain healthy soil, to in turn produce healthier food, and also reverse global warming by drawing carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere where we don't want it and putting it back into the ground in the form of organic matter where we do want it. So thank you for being on the show, and thank you for doing what you do. Thank you, Matt. We appreciated it a lot. I enjoyed hanging out with you. Awesome. And thank you to WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep reaching ordinary people ready to create extraordinary lives. A special thank you to our sponsors for the entire month of November, Dry Farm Wines and Happy Living. Remember, I'll donate 8% of every order placed during the entire month of November, so share the gift of natural wine and pour some love this holiday season. Most especially thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things John Arbuckle
Find him, friend him, buy his delicious salamis and snack sticks, and join him on his mission to change the food system from the ground up. From me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be happy. We do what we do on the Something Significant show to inspire you to live your life to its fullest, to believe as I do that a better self is always possible today and every day for the rest of our lives. Be bold. If you're dreaming about it, then get on with it, for it's there on your special path, the one to your dream, your unique and distinctive journey. That's where you'll discover the way to make your mark of significance on the world. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome, and this is the Something Significant show. And we're out.
Hooray!